We are live on the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. This is Friday. Why am I talking like this? Why am I shouting? For no apparent reason, because I have no idea. I got a cigar that somebody gave me, and it's a pretty damn good cigar. I'm not condoning you smoke cigars, or I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't even smoke cigars. Maybe once in a blue moon. It's not because I'm in some kind of delight frenzy. I'm not, but it sort of keeps me sane. So, couple of things off the top, and I'm going to get to the nitty gritty and Ron Owens, Jan Black, and Laura Owens. I'll get to all of that in a second. Put these stupid things on. Do I look morally reprehensible? Do I look more idiotic? And why am I talking like this too? I have like my Inspector Columbo, Peter Falk. Excuse me, am I bothering you? Because if I'm bothering you, there's really no reason why I should be here, but I'm here. No. So about Thursday's broadcast, I got a lot of people who texted me, called me. They were genuinely concerned and all that. And I didn't look. I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't compartmentalize well. I keep things out there. Uh, and this was something that I thought about. I didn't perform so I could scare people and make people all frenzies. And I didn't do it so I could get sympathy, which I said on my show. I did it because it was on my mind. And there are a lot of people out there that I do care about. And I was like reacting also to something that I experienced all morning long yesterday. It was a fitting time to talk about what I talked about. And when I said about all the people out there that are screwed up, even the so-called people that appear to have it together and all that, they really don't. They really don't. Everybody's kind of torn these days, even the people that look as if they have it together and all that. So my shtick, and that's a bad word. So redact that. My talk yesterday wasn't to upset people, wasn't to nerve you or to, seek pity or anything like that. I was reacting to something that I had experienced earlier in the day, compounded by other things and reading and just learning things that I did on this particular Thursday. I decided to come out and give you my little personal spiel. And I don't regret a minute of it. Oh, it makes you people are going to be annoyed. They're not annoyed. They're going to be worried. They're going to be scared. Well, if that's the case, so be it. I'm explaining myself. And the fact of the matter is, there is a very huge amount of people out there who are in a very tepid state. I'm being very diplomatic, and 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 especially this time of the year, where summer is basically over, even though it doesn't end officially for a couple more weeks. The days are getting shorter. I read, prices are way up. Grocery store items. People, I saw that the jobs numbers were out. There was a modest gain. There are a lot of people that are, losing their jobs, not just in the tech industry, but all over the economic map. And so it combined that with everything else that's going on. And I'm not even talking, nor do I want to talk about politics here. Try to avoid that dreaded 5-letter word, that name, whom I happen to agree with lots of his policies, just the way he carries it out, that I'm not crazy about. But feeling the angst. I talked about anxiety. I talked about people that are just on the edge. I don't mean literally, but are on the edge with family issues and personal issues and job issues and, you know, whatever. I thought, and I very much in this arena, especially, like to talk and do a little spiel about what's on my mind. I feel, with maybe no justification whatsoever, that if I could help somebody out there, and I wasn't seeking to be, you know, Mr. Helper, Mr. Therapy man. I wasn't. I think I was just speaking out loud for a lot of people who want to do what I did, but maybe they don't have the gumption. Maybe they just don't feel it's the right thing to do. Maybe they have people that depend upon them and maybe work in some kind of immediate capacity. It doesn't have to be media, it could be anything. But they can't because maybe they have a gig and they don't want their overlings to think, that John or Joan, they don't look too well. I'm very concerned, and that kind of a thing. So Thursday's broadcast, folks, was done with a great deal of premeditation and all that. I thought about it. I did it. I don't regret it. And why would I regret it? Oh, because I looked unnerved. I looked like I was unhinged. No, I did it because what was on my mind was absolutely how I addressed what I addressed on Thursday. And the fact of the matter is, that's me. That's my brand, I say sarcastically. That's one of the things that makes me me. Sometimes I'm not hip to it. Sometimes I can be not proud of it. On the other hand, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of you come here to see me and to see what I'm going to say or do or something of that nature. Some of you with no good intentions, some of you just to see what I'm going to say, and that's fine. But I didn't mean to unnerve many of you. I didn't mean to have some people write to me, text me, email me saying they were concerned. Look, the world in which we live today is screwed up. We are. We are. Even the so-called people that have it together, I said this Thursday, they're on the edge too. For whatever reason, I think I know what I described a little while ago, whether it's professional, personal, what have you, that kind of thing. But everybody's got something, some issue on their psyche. And it's a lot more terse and a lot more pronounced than many people out there think it is, which again was one of the reasons why I talked about it. And I was very, very demonstrative. And look, I'm not Mr. Sexy, okay? I don't wear 12 different outfits and put on different costumes. I wear black. Sometimes I'll put on a dress shirt, maybe a jacket. But who gives a shit about what I wear? For that matter, who gives a crap about what anybody wears? Unless they're doing a fashion blog or a broadcast, they're going to talk about, their wardrobe and this, that, and the other. They're selling clothes, a clothing line, whatever. Who gives an absolute rat's ass as to what I'm wearing or you're wearing? So that's me. I don't have flashy graphics. I got a nameplate. I got me. And to be or not to be, that is the question. No, to be frank, what are you tuning in for? You're tuning in to maybe get my impressions on various things, my media analysis, some scoops every now and then, and to say other things, which I will in a moment. The other day, I criticized rather harshly, and I'm going to get to Ron Owens and Jan and and Laura Owens in a second. Bear with me. But I talked about Anderson Cooper. And I made a comment that, he comes out and he does this regularly. That's fine. You know what took place in Minnesota last week? The tragedy with the whack job. By the way, who cares? Who the fuck cares whether the guy was trans or not? Now, Trump wants to ban trans people from getting weapons, which on the face of it sounds utterly ridiculous. But when you think about it and you look at the story, it's utterly ridiculous. What? Are trans people more inclined to shoot and kill and maim and all? Whatever. I don't get it. I don't get it. I told you we're crazy. The world is on edge. But back to Anderson Cooper, a guy who I like, does a good job. I think he's a little overrated. He's getting paid $15 million a year from CNN alone. Lord knows what 60 Minutes is paying him. Probably about $5 to $10 million. They're not a bad gig or gigs. But what I said was the thing in Minnesota, the latest mass shooting. And on that afternoon's broadcast on CNN, we heard Anderson Cooper say that he was not going to show the mugshot of it wasn't a mugshot because the guy killed himself. But he's not going to, he wasn't going to identify the person, guy, woman, whatever, nor was he going to show a picture of him or her. And he did it very self-righteously. And apparently, when these mass shootings take place, which happen in America, seems every other day, he apparently doesn't do this, but he made a big stink. And, I'm not going to show the name. I don't want to give him any. Meanwhile, CNN, his employer, AOL Time Warner, I don't know if AOL is part of it anymore, but they're over there running promos. At least 10 minutes of promos in like the first half hour alone. And I said, talk about a juxtaposition. Here you have Anderson Cooper saying, we're not going to dignify. This is a mass shooting. This is mayhem at its worst in America. And I'm not going to show the picture of the shooter, nor am I going to name him. And all. I'm saying, well, fuck Anderson. Your employer is doing promos and showing footage from said incident. I mean, if you're going to be holier than thou, and if you're going to call certain things or individuals or say something profound in your world that you're not going to show the killer's image and talk about his rambling shit that he put out, which it was, then criticize your own company for running promos, for running drug ads and all the other shit, lawyer ads that they run. Meanwhile, let's go back to the video and the imagery of parents running away from the Catholic school, sirens blasting, cops running all over the place. Stop it already. And rip it to CNN. And they're not the only ones that do it. Fox does it. MSNBC. Go gavel to gavel. Stay away from the ads. But we've become so numb to these things. And so la-di-da, because then the next day we're not even talking. We're not even have you heard about this thing in Minnesota of late? No. Because we're just waiting for the next one to happen. Oh, this is going to be terrible. And the Congress is going to do something. Finally going to. No, they're not. They're not. Because they're cowards and they hide behind the NRA. And no, the NRA and banning these fuckers are not going to prevent these whack jobs from going out and doing these things again. But I'd like the media, particularly the cablers, to show a great degree, a little bit even, of empathy and deference. If it's that profoundly bad, which it is, but it's a symptom of America and the fact that how these people can get access to these massive weapons of mass destruction army weapons, and you don't have to have a political color to that, whether you're Dem or Republican or independent. This is not a political thing. This is a common sense thing. Because in other countries, if shit like that happened, they'd do something about it. They would try to do something. In America, it's just part of the entertainment facet. It's become our culture. So I hate when people, prominent people like Anderson Cooper, are going to say, oh, we're not going to show his picture. Maybe you should show his picture. Maybe you should show the guns that you didn't show for once. Maybe America needs to be shocked and awed and see little kids that have been killed. And look what happened in Connecticut at this school, where over 35 people got butchered and shot to death and all that. Maybe Americans should see that. Maybe they should see autopsy photos. Maybe, and only then, maybe there would be something that were done. All right, enough of Anderson Cooper. I want to also emphasize, I just said it. I like Anderson Cooper. I think he's fair. I think he does a good job. I think he reads well. Sometimes the look that he has, it's a little too benign for me, but he does a good job. It's not anti-Anderson Cooper. I just wish that sometimes the self-righteous, for show, I think sometimes we're not going to show the image of the shooter. All right, give me a break. Meanwhile, running all your ads and the drug ads, and back to breaking news coverage of the latest mass shooting. Ron Owens, Laura Owens. I didn't talk about this in earnest, but I think, matter of fact, I know that it's something that needs to be addressed. Okay. So there was a photo that I put out there that somebody took, and it hasn't been shown in the conventional press because by and large, the conventional press isn't covering this story. And it's outside the courtroom where Ron was in a wheelchair and he's hunched over and he looks really frail, looks kind of unkempt, and just looks, looks all bit of about to be 80 years old next month. Ron Owens. Not that 80 is suddenly old. It's not young, but it's not old. There are a lot of people who well into their 80s that are still lucid, that have not, whose their brains have not been hijacked by onset dementia, Alzheimer's, and all that. But anyway, having seen that picture and keep looking at it, I kept looking at it. You have beside Ron, you have Laura Owens. And this is the part that stymies me. She's in like these kind of pants. They're like disco pants. And she's got a lot of makeup on and she's got heels on, the kind of heels that, maybe a lot of these people, young women, go to clubs late on a Thursday night or a Saturday night. It didn't look quite the image, the setting that you would think that Laura Owens is in some kind of trouble, which she is. And I say that not to be sexist, not to be this prejudged, although I guess by even bringing it up and mentioning prejudging and all that, I guess there's people that are going to come to their own conclusions about me. But the photo was disturbing in my end because here you have a father, an individual who looks completely disheveled, and he's hunched over. He looks frail, almost broken. And then you have his daughter, who is being accused of some serious shit, multiple counts, dressed as if she just got out of the disco hall. I'm starting to sound like my father. Um, I had a really, really difficult time looking at that picture because it's on the one hand, Laura Owens, and I don't know her psyche now, folks. I know what you know. I even when I was close to Ron, I never met his daughters. One was either always in New York on business or what have you, and then Laura was wherever she was. I bring that up because I mentioned this the other day, and I'm going to do further investigating, which is I've been doing for the last few days in earnest. But I'm concerned about Ron, and I'm concerned about Ron because, and this is based on nothing. This is a hunch that perhaps he's being manipulated. Perhaps he is the recipient of elder abuse. And when I say that, not that he's being physically attacked or, messed with, but in many instances, what I'm worried about is far more compelling and disturbing and violent, frankly, than Amir uh, describing certain things having to do with elderly people who get messed with, who get taken advantage of, and all that kind of stuff. So, um, well, before I get on, let me do this because oh, you got to talk to the chat line. They're here and all that. So I'm going to do my best to read some of the. Okay, hey Bruce, is that Bruce the Moose? Tepid. Let's see. This is from Bruce. That's how you get mosquitoes. Thank you, Bruce. I guess I said something funny, unintentionally a lot, but whatever. Okay. Uh, I'm here for the cigar accommodation. Well, shit, this is a good cigar. It's way over my pay pedigree, but whatever. I think it's a Romeo and Julieta. Okay. So I gave out the free plug. But thanks for your acknowledgement, Bruce. Are you the Bruce up in the Oregon? Yeah, you are. You do Lauren's show a lot. Glad to see you, Rich from South Florida Thrifter. Thank you. Well, I explained everybody, including Thrifter, at the outset of the show, the broadcast that I did on Thursday was intentioned to be a little bit cryptic, even though that, And I said then, please don't get all worried that I'm going to do something stupid. Okay. I'm too chicken to try to hurt myself. Okay. For the starters, I was trying to convey an image that I talked about on the beginning of this show and both describe and lament the fact that in the world in which we live, there are a lot of people that are fucked up. Forget homeless. They're just plain fucked up. Well, I guess you could put homeless in the equation to say, like, these people are just, it's tough. So, all right, let me read some more of these because I have to acknowledge the room. I've been told Bruce the Moose. Disco plants. Oh, my. Plants. All right, Bruce the Moose. Am I still on the air? Oh, I just fell asleep for no apparent reason. Rich has onset. Okay. The cigar makes you classy, Rich. Linda, are you coming on to me? Ah, thank you. Thank you. I just kind of went, okay. You know what probably was, is I took some, I'm feeling a lot better. I was feeling pain the other day. My back was all fucked up. Back's fine. I think I took a Tylenol and there's a side effect where it makes you a little drowsy. So I think I just had one of those. And there was dead silence and I looked, worse. and more ridiculous than I currently look. So, in any event, yeah, I'm in the all. Thanks. Somebody commented, "Glad to see you in black." Well, I if you're looking for a Bob, what's the guy that used to be the fashion designer for Cher and others? This is it. Black is black. I want my baby back. All right. Let's see. I found Bruce the Moose, disco pants. Oh my. Well, what else? She had on pants that looked kind of disco-y, like she was coming out of a club or something. Bizarre. How'd you like that? Where did that come from? Bizarre. Um, Bruce, let's see. You're the Bruce that does Lauren's show, right? Bruce the Moose? The guy in the trailer? Let me know. Let's see. Reasonable. A very reasonable something. I can't see. Tip. All right, let's see here. Bruce. Bob Mackey. Very good. Bruce, I bet you would have done very well at what was the show? Jeopardy. Okay. Bob Mackey. Yeah, other people now have Bob Mackey. Yeah. Yeah, I think that guy was the designer employee for many, many starlets and Hollywood celebrities like Cher, for example. But he also used to dress me, and I'd come out and all right. He did. Let's see. Yes, I have a one and a guest room, no trailer. Okay. So what my point was going to be, I'm very disjointed today, folks. I look like shit. What else is though? I sound like it. My voice. I have no idea why I'm talking like this whatsoever. It's if I keep this up, I'm going to be sounding like Jerry Lewis. When I cry, walk on, I walk. That song fucking made me laugh. I'm referring to the Jerry Lewis telethon song where he does this thing at the end of the telethon. And I'm not making light of the charity years ago I gave, my mother used to give to the muscular dystrophy. So before you send me an email, oh, man, you're so silly. Anyway, Jerry Lewis, I've referred to him many times here. And he's dead now, so I could say this, and I'd say it anyway. But disturbed individual. You want to talk about somebody that's got or had issues in his life. And I think I mentioned that movie that he was in that was a brilliant movie, very scary in a way, very dark. It was a black comedy called The King of Comedy. And it starred him. I just said he played himself. And who else was in that? Oh yeah, Sandra Bernhard, and oh God, why am I leaving this guy out? The one and only Robert De Niro, who played the star of the whole show, and just a very, very dark. And then of course Jerry Lewis himself, where he is kidnapped by said individual, and I mean, you got to watch this if you haven't already. Some of you out there know what I'm talking about. It's just it's one of those epic kind of cult like hero type of status type of movies. So, what else do we have here? Let's see. Yes, I have a one and a guest room, no trailer. Yeah, well, I'll put it in my cranium and see if I can act on it. But right now, I don't feel like traveling even. I'm just fakakta. But what I was going to say further is the fact that there's a lot going on. And the Ron and Laura thing, and there's been a lot of unusual, disturbing, quiet. And when you don't hear something or some people for a few days and beyond, then you have your own ideas of what could be going on or what have you. So I'm very, very, very weary of what's happening there. So, um, damn it, I went to the local Safeway, a grocery store, and I got a few things. And do you ever get really, really pissed when you forget to buy something that is kind of a vital cog? But I can survive. Don't worry. And but I'm all over the map. I went from Ron, Laura. Well, I said that picture is very, very, shall we say, useful for one side, not so much for the other, and all that. So, I'm going to be a little bit more together later in the day, and I will have some things to talk about. Maybe do a little preview to an upcoming Rich Lieberman. Ask him whatever you want to ask me, and we might do some other things too. Stay tuned. So I will see you later. Hmm.